of what Eve looks like, and the alliances that take part in kind of the territory control in the low security portions of Eve. Everything you see outside of this deep blue in the middle is what we call 0-0 or null set. It's kind of like the Wild West, right? Out there is no law. It's all PvP all the time, and there are mechanics in place for you to take control of these territories. And as time goes on, like this map from 2003, I think it is, looks completely different now. This alliance here got broken up. This alliance doesn't exist anymore almost altogether. And people started here, came all the way down through here, and took over a bunch of stuff, penetrated along this line here, and then blew it up on the inside. And there's a big complicated history there, but the point is that it's all done by players and real people. I want to talk about communities around games for a second. Not this kind of community, it's a TV show. And then I wanted to find a different picture, and I was like, well, community. That's kind of like what a community looks like, but this is really what a gaming community looks like. This is a picture outside of the Eve Fan Fest in 2006, I believe. The Eve Fan Fest is the customer appreciation show, essentially, that happens in Reykjavik, Iceland. And people come from all over the world and participate in programming. We have developers that sit in round tables and in rooms and give small presentations, like the one that I'm doing now. And they talk about things in the game and things that you want to talk about because people want to talk to the devs about, their piece of the game and what they think could be better, what they think is, could be toned down, things like that. And then we cap it off on Saturday night with a big party, and everybody goes out. And I think we had 2,500 people at the party this last year. It was a good time. But, community is important. So we've covered the fact that people can be players, right? And players in games kind of take different roles. But community is kind of standard around games. You all come here to play games, or you all come here to cosplay and appreciate anime and things like that. For example, anime isn't a game, right? For the most part. I mean, it's been made into games, but the notion of anime itself, there's nothing to do with it. It becomes a single-player game, if you will. I mean, you watch anime and you appreciate it, but you want to interact with other people and talk about it. That's what makes the product more interesting, and that's what makes your interaction with other people interesting, is the community around these products. So, community, right? So we have Team Fortress 2, which is probably one of my favorite video games I'm playing right now, and Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. Larger communities exist around these games. For example, Team Fortress 2, you play a particular role in a first-person shooter battle between two teams, and more often than not, they're pickup games. You drop in a random team, you play with random people, you run around, shoot stuff, game's over in 10 minutes. That's kind of the end of that game. You do that over and over and over again, and that's, as much as you want to. That's the game, though. But what happens is that outside of the game, there exists a community. Valve, the people that make Team Fortress, do a really good job of fostering community and getting people to join teams within the community outside of the game itself. So some of the roles you find in Team Fortress, as you see in the picture there, you have the heavy weapons guy, the spy, the demo, the medic. People end up playing a certain class more often than not, and they kind of establish an emotional connection to that class. So what Valve will do, they'll say, for the next 3 months, if the engineers get more kills than the soldier, then the engineer will get something, or the soldier will get something if they get more kills than the engineer. And so they get the community to go and establish themselves as one class outside of the game, and they create content in that way, right? So whereas you can be just playing this game over and over and over again, that's one thing. But if I enjoy playing soldier, and you're going to give the soldier something, if the soldiers do really well, then I'm going to get all my friends together and convince them to play soldier. I'm going to get all my soldier friends together and say we should go and play more often and do more things, because we're going to get stuff for it. And that's how you kind of cultivate a community. Vampire is very much a community game in the way that you know, an individual game takes about 2 hours to play at the maximum, and you know, you play against everybody that we've established already. Everybody's your enemy, which is, you know, a strange notion to try to have a friendly community around a game where you're constantly at odds with somebody. But we managed to do it, and I've played a vampire for, let's see, close to 14 years now. And when I came to Tampere, it was my first time in Finland, my first time in Tampere. When I came to the place where they're playing vampire right now, I ran into some guys that I've known for probably 6 years, because there's, you know, I've met them at the European Championships, at tournaments in the US. And we've become friends. The tournaments take somewhere between 6 and 10 hours to play in a day, which is, you know, a long time to be playing one game. But after that, we break, we go have dinner, we talk about each other's lives, we have beers together, and we've found this kind of common bond in a game. But you know, that game has, you know, kept us together and made us friends. And there are people that have quit playing the game, and, you know, one day when there's no more game, maybe we're going to continue to be friends because we've had this bond. We've created this community around the game. And one of the things we do that's not unlike Valve is that we will take the clans of vampires in Vampire the Eternal Struggle, and we'll say, if your clan gets more wins in this particular tournament setting than these other clans, then we're going to give you special cards. And people will definitely rally behind their clans and you know, create that new content. We call them storyline tournaments, where you can take your clan and your set of vampires and you can change the actual storyline, the canon storyline of Vampire the Masquerade. I don't know if you all are familiar with Foursquare, so I'll explain it briefly. Foursquare is a game that was developed by a couple guys in New York. It's a location-based game, so it uses the GPS on your phone. You must have a smartphone these days. And what you'll do is that every time you go to a location, like you go to a bar, or you go to work, or you go to a cafe or whatever, you pull up Foursquare, it tells you that you're there, you check in. Every time you check in, for the first time in a day, you get a point. If it's the first time you've ever been to that place, you get 5 points. If the location doesn't exist in Foursquare and you create it, you get an additional 5 points. Then every other place you visit that day, you get incremental points. So the second place I visit in a day, I get 2 points. The third place, I get 3 points, and so forth. There's also an achievement system. You see in the side here, and you get badges for different combinations of things you might do. For example, newbie is your first check-in in a place. Adventure is your 10th check-in. There's some like city-specific ones. So Far Away is a New York one, where if you check in above 59th Street in New York, then you get that badge. So achievement systems, you know, that happens in games all the time. Points and a leaderboard happen like that. The thing about this game is that you are essentially competing against everybody else in the city that you live in. So these stats, there are two leaderboards you participate in. All of your friends, and then everybody in the city that you are in currently. So within your friends, there's a kind of you see who's been out the most times and where they go and things like that. The most interesting thing about Foursquare for me when I look at my friends list is where they are right now or where they've been this week. So I had a buddy who went to Las Vegas recently, and I see all of his check-ins, and I was like, oh, he's at the strip club at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty cool. And then so that's the kind of the community aspect. Me and my friends keeping track of each other where we are. You know, if I can't get a hold of them for whatever reason, I know that they're at this club and I can meet them there tonight, things like that. And then the competitive side is competing against everybody else in the city, see who goes out the most, things like that. And then there's Facebook. I think most people are familiar with Facebook. Facebook I like to call the biggest MMO in the world, because a lot of what you do is really a game, right? There's your leaderboard, right? Like how many friends you have, how many pictures of you are there, how many things can you comment on, how many things can you like, things like that. But Facebook is a game that is almost entirely community. It's you and your friends and people that are friends of friends, engaging in comments on, general life stuff or, what you're doing, the comments on pictures, things like that. When I travel, for example, I always post about what I'm doing, like, I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to the sauna, and people are like, oh, that's really cool, and we have that kind of community banter back and forth. I looked on Facebook, or actually I just Googled the Finnish celebrities, and there weren't a whole lot. I don't know if you guys know any major Finnish celebrities that I might know? No? So I found Vampira. We all familiar with this?
Yes.
It's like a 1950s Finnish-born actress that was kind of this vampire persona. So I thought that was interesting. She actually died not too long ago, but her niece keeps up her Facebook, and the community around Vampira is actually quite vast. I don't see how many friends she has, but people still engage. To this day, like yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people are posting, quite a bit. Facebook allows communities to happen around just about anything. I think things like MySpace kind of started the trend for fan pages and what who we can connect with as just the regular people. I mean, these are celebrities. Whether we talk to Pia, or we talk to U2 and Bono, or we talk to anybody else, there are communities being built every day, and participating in these communities is interesting. So this is like a blog article I found online about Facebook and the way that people interact. These highlighted portions are interesting. We found that people who are narcissistic use Facebook in a self-promoting way. They can be identified by others. Said lead author Laura Bafardi, a doctoral student in psychology who co-authored the study with associate professor W. Keith Campbell. So, and I'd like your feedback on this, if you have any thoughts on it, but there's people who use Facebook, right? Or people who engage in communities for games or for anything that some people say things just so they can be heard. Some people say things so that, they can just say it. People engage in